understand them, I can count them, I can drive them. If you look at the automobile market in Japan in 1962, the year I was getting out of college, so I remember the year, Detroit produced more cars in a week than Japan produced in a year.
That's true.
There was no way on earth Toyota or Nissan could have competed with Ford. And if we want to argue that Ford was too foolish to sell into Japan, there was Fiat, there was Volkswagen, there was Renault, and then there's the list of the dead, Austin and the other British
There's
market.
also very low Japanese real incomes, which is...
It was a smallish market.
Yeah.
How many cars were imported into Japan in 1962? Zippo. They go to 1965, Zippo. 1970, Zippo. 1975, Zip. 1980, pretty much nothing. A couple of BMWs with the steering wheel on the wrong side of the road. During all that period, there was no way the outside automobile makers could get into the Japanese market, either by selling product or by setting up a wholly owned subsidiary, making the product in the Japan market. That is what I call a protected market.
It sure is.
Sure is. And what happened as a result is the Japanese automobile industry now makes more cars than the American
Not as a
industry.
result of that, far from it.
You mean despite that?
Despite that, of course.
That is, the government policy, they would have been producing twice as many cars now.
I don't know about twice as many. I don't even know if they've been producing as many. But they would have had a more productive automobile industry. They would have contributed more to the well-being of the people of Japan.
Who could be against progress? That's not what we're talking about, sir.
But you're against it.
Well, Milton,
Quite the contrary.
I think there is an important point that we're missing here, though, Milton, and that is that we're talking about this as though we're an economic problem. I don't think protectionism is an economic problem.
It isn't.
Protectionism is a political disease. It follows the well-known pattern suggested by H.L. Mencken when he said that elections are a kind of a futures market in stolen property. And who is being stolen from here? It's the consumers who have to pay a higher price for the product. And who benefits? It's the manufacturers who get that, as it were, that tax that's levied on consumers. And the problem is that even if they know about it, consumers have no interest in going about and engaging in political action to stop it, because for them it means a few dollars more on a car or a few dollars more on a VCR or whatever, and they have no incentive to go out and engage in the political action to get the tariffs taken down or get the quotas removed. And it's so therefore a very insidious and difficult thing. It has nothing to do with economics. It's a political problem.
Dr. Cohen, I understand what you're against. You think that free trade doesn't work in practice. What are you for?
Well, it's not a question of free trade not just working in practice. It does not work in theory. Let's be very clear. This films you've been showing, I have never seen anything with quite the ideological content of that, as I said, outside the Middle East.
You live a sheltered life.
I have been fortunate. It assumes a set of assumptions that have been proven wrong. American economics sits around spinning on the basis of its assumption, admitting of no facts, admitting of no foreign intervention.
I beg your pardon. You simply are demonstrating the parochialism of your knowledge. The facts in that film are absolutely correct. Japan did progress very much under free trade from 1868 to 1914. India has remained relatively stagnant under a system, a policy of protection. Those facts are correct.
Those are what we used to call glittering half-truths. The other half of those truths are Germany in the late 19th century progressed splendidly under strategic policy.
And Germany in the last half of the 19th century progressed greatly. It progressed greatly.
And that Japan
progressed Mike
very
was saying
greatly
earlier, because it eliminated tariffs within the country. It got a large free trade area in the same way the common market has been moving, in the same way the U.S.-Canada agreement has been moving. It progressed greatly, despite the fact that it introduced some tariffs toward the external world.
That's the two cases of the most successful rich country progress. Germany in the early 20th century and late 19th century, Japan in the post-war period.
No, Japan
in the post-war War II period. 1 minute, I haven't finished my sentence. Japan in the post-war period are the two most startling and impressive examples of truly muscular and impressive industrial. Both, you claim, were achieved despite the fact that they used strategic development policies. I would like to say England and the United States have, despite the fact they've tried to use free market policies and have not. We've had tons of protectionism in this country. But the intellectual climate that says protectionism, you only have one word, protectionism. It's like people in Florida talking about snow. There's one word, snow. Eskimos have 100 words for snow. We have one word for
down from Canada,
protectionism.
don't forget.
You know that. The Japanese have 100 words, despite the fact that these two countries have succeeded so well. You say, well, had they only done it our way, they would have done better.
But
I find that really hard to believe.
You have the last word, Dr. Cohen. Thank you for joining us on Free to Choose. Next week, we'll be discussing Eastern Europe and the road to prosperity.
This is where it all happened. In 3 days, they got political freedom. The hopes were high. They thought economic miracles would follow quickly. Yet now it's a year later and almost nothing has happened.